The Prophet ﷺ was amazing at giving people attention. And so, إِذَا الْتَفَتَ, when he turned, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he wouldn't just turn his head towards you, he would turn his entire body to you when you would speak to him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to let you know that you're the only person he's listening to at the moment. And if you asked for his ear, the Prophet ﷺ would give you his ear, and he would not remove his ear until you were done with everything that you had to say. And if you shook his hand, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet ﷺ would not remove his hand until you removed yours, letting you know that he was all yours when you were speaking to him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One of my favorite narrations about the Prophet ﷺ in this regard, and one that has serious consequences for us in regards to our cell phones, is that the Prophet ﷺ had this ring that he liked. And the ring of the Prophet ﷺ was a silver ring. It had a ruby stone from Abyssinia. And one time the Prophet ﷺ was wearing this ring, and he looked at it a few times in the middle of a conversation. And then he was disappointed with himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, being distracted by his ring from his companions as they were speaking. So he actually took off his ring, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he cast it aside. And he said that, I was looking at this ring a few times, but I wanted to get it out of the way because it was distracting me from you, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When he would point towards you, alayhi salatu wassalam, he would not use a finger, because if he pointed with his finger towards you, then you might feel like he's casting blame towards you. So the Prophet ﷺ would only point with his entire hand, so that you didn't feel like you were being blamed by his finger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. إِذَا تَعَجَّبَ, when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was amazed by something, or when he was in the midst of something and something amusing was said, the Prophet ﷺ would tap his thigh and he would say, Subhanallah, Subhanallah. When the Prophet ﷺ would walk, he was a man that would walk with a sense of purpose. Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu said that the Prophet ﷺ's walking was like a man walking downhill. Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu said you couldn't even keep pace with him. And that's because the Prophet ﷺ had the walk of someone who had something important to do. He didn't walk arrogantly, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, nor did he walk with laziness, but he walked fast. And that was a sign that he was always motivated and he was always productive, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And even in his manner of sitting, there was humility, and there was an intentional humility to it. Allah sent an angel to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to ask him if he wanted to live his life as Nabiyan Malika or Nabiyan Abda, as a prophet that lives like a king or a prophet that lives like a humble slave. And the Prophet ﷺ chose Nabiyan Abda, to live like a humble slave. And he said that's why he would always sit up, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and eat his food in a certain way, and not recline like an arrogant man or like a wealthy man or like a king. So